Hello everyone and welcome to this issue of Anti-Life Reviews. I'm your new god, of course, like a dark side before me. I am the DeComposter, moving along with my nostalgia-fueled month, the first of 2024. I am looking at a comic based on a cartoon I advocate as much as I can, often mostly to deaf ears, much like this video will get. It was a natural follow-up to the Phantom comic strips and various sundries and whatnot, called The Phantom 2040. This was published by Marvel Comics from May to August in 1995, right smack dab in the middle of when the show was on, so strike while the iron was lukewarm, I suppose. This didn't get a cool Pizza Hut tie-in like the X-Men did or anything, but the show is totally available online on its official YouTube channel, and the link will be down below for anyone wanting to enjoy this underrated, entertaining, and slightly silly piece of media. But will the comic live up to my enjoyment of the cartoon? Well, let's put on our skull rings, talk about the Ghost 2 walks, and thankfully not Billy Zane this time. The writers and artists on this comic, the writer was Peter Quinos. I think I'm saying that correctly. I know a lot about this guy. He worked on G.I. Joe, Quantum Leaps comic, which I didn't know existed, and I will be searching it out, frankly. A comic called Dragon Lines, which I guess he's most known for. Not much else to say. The artist on this, though, is on the opposite end of the spectrum. And if you know Steve Ditko, maybe the autism spectrum. We have a very well-known artist, like I said, Steve Ditko, the man who co-created Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, A Question, and many more. Legendarily a recluse. We sadly lost Steve in 2019. I feel bad. I'm going to be quite harsh on his work here. By this time in his career, his talents had all but faded, though I am sure his intense paranoia had not. Sincerely, that's unfair, though. I think Ditko was a very measured man to a fault. But let's go ahead and move on. To the comic. The year is 2040, and the world is under an oppressive regime of a tyrannical conglomerate that has firm control over the government and keeps the people oppressed by controlling food, technology, information, and shelter. A bit on the nose there, Phantom. Thanks for reminding me of the real world. Either way, the company in charge is Maximum Inc., run by one Rebecca Madison and her Norman Bates-style son, Maxwell Jr. But there's one who stands in their way, seemingly immortal Phantom, who Rebecca is convinced her husband killed years ago. But this is a new Phantom. Let's go over the obvious for the uninitiated. Who is the Phantom? Well, as far as reality goes, he is a comic strip that started in 1936, still going, strong to this day, frankly. As far as fictional history, it's a bit of a white savior trope that was so popular back in the day. In 1560, a white guy's boat is attacked by pirates. He ends up being taken in by an African culture who trains him, and he's awesome at it. He becomes the Ghost Who Walks, and the mantle has been passed down from father to son since then. They are the Phantom. The current Phantom is the 24th of his line, one Kit Walker, who, thanks to his mentor Garan, finds out his father was the previous Phantom who had been killed by Maximum Inc., of course. Kit dons the purple suit and domino mask and has an axe to grind. And that's what he does, showing up to take down Maximum forces, to help the people, as well as beat up his regular sparring partner, Maximum's chief of security, half-man, half-machine, Graft, who Ron Perlman plays in the first season, which is pretty cool. But during the battle, the Phantom is revealed to the people, who rally around him. This forces Maximum Inc. to kidnap Garan to try to lead Kit into a trap. And after an extended battle with another robot villain that is partly televised, which makes the Phantom look good, and of course Garan is saved. We then learn a group called the Cabal has stolen a man in cryosleep who was their boss, and they are quite mad about him exposing them to some radiation, but the Phantom stops them, and the thought-out bad guy stop him too in under 30 pages. Finally, Kit traveled to Bengal, Africa, and he's mostly loved and welcome. He is there to help to get rid of poaching and hone his skills. But there's a lady Phantom there who wants a piece of Kit, but he defeats her, and she accepts him as the rightful Phantom, and that's all the issues. Frankly, that's all that happens. So yeah, in 4 issues, that's all we get. Let's start with the art. I said I was going to be hard on Mr. Ditko here, and this is nothing to hamper or take away from all the incredible artistic and creative accomplishments he's had in his career. The man was incredibly talented and more than a legend in the comic book genre, or hell, at this point, with the popularity of Spider-Man in the zeitgeist of popular media for the past 50 years. But he was around 70 here, a few years shy of it anyways, and his talents had diminished greatly. He also, I have no idea how much reverence he has for the Phantom. This may have just been something for a paycheck for him, but frankly, this art is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. The faces were jarring with bug eyes, like that scene from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The whole thing seems like someone trying to trace Juji Ito art with shaky hands. None of it makes sense. The panel layout is bad, the characters are ugly, the original characters are uninspired to say the least. This was hard to look at, and the cartoon it's much more interesting looking. It's got that mute color, kind of odd Aeon Flux style art to it that made it really appealing to watch. This has none of that. None of it. It's bad. That being said, Neil Hansen did the covers, and they are great. I wish he did the interiors too. The writing, uninspired, is all I can say. Everything I described to you covers sort of loosely connected 4 issues. It feels like the origin took forever. The second issue is almost identical to the plot of the first, and the last 2 were sort of Monster of the Week style comics that didn't add anything to the universe nor help. I had never read this, and I would have as a kid if I'd known it was available. And I'm glad I didn't, because frankly, I know I would have bought all 4 issues and just been sad. I'm sad now, frankly. This is easily the worst comic I will read this month. So spoilers on that, frankly, but I guess that's a good thing. Overall, I think I pretty much said everything I need to say. This was not good, and not a fit expansion on the legendary Phantom mythos. Nor the shockingly good Phantom 2040, and I'm totally biased in that. I love that cartoon, I don't know why. I've been having a hard time finding compelling Phantom comics outside of the comic strips. Can I get any recommendations? I just seem like I've been through a ton and they're all mediocre. And this especially just isn't going to cut it. It's not going to do it. But like I said, please check out the show. It's linked down below. Buy the IP holder, so no worries about getting taken down. The quality isn't the best, but honestly, we're not going to get a DVD release of this that I'm familiar with. So it's the best we're going to get. Well, that's the thing about nostalgia. It isn't always good to revisit. You have certain ideas in your head at the time about something. You've put it on a pedestal. But when you come to the reality of it, it just isn't what you might have thought it could be with those rose-colored glasses, you know? Next week we'll be looking at something I have looked at before, but thankfully I took down a lot of my old videos as they were crap. And this is crap too, but it's better than that. We're looking at The Army of Darkness versus The Reanimator. So make sure to be here for that. Please also check out the talent who did my opening song, Lydia, who runs BuffyTheTwinPeaks. Her links are down below, including a SoundCloud. As well as mine are an Instagram under DemonPeaks for niche Twin Peaks memes. Subscribe to my Patreon, and don't forget to have a great day, a great week, and praise the Tonamakaya, your new god.